What up, friends? Remember those goals that you set for the year or the goals you're about to set for the year? Let's break those down into actionable plans for the month, shall we? Let's do it. My name is Laria Jones. I'm over 45 and hell bent on living this one and only life to the fullest. I have this lifelong goal of self-mastery, and on this channel, I'm sharing the things that are working, what's not working, in the hopes that it helps you live a full life too. I also happen to have spent most of my career as a project manager, so I have loads of experience taking big objectives and breaking them down into small plans. And so if that's something you feel like you need to do, then let's get into it. Sometimes we may have problems connecting our big, wonderful dreams for the year into what we're doing during the month. And I don't know about you, but sometimes those goals for the year feel like things floating about in the clouds. And during the month, I find myself dealing with what's in front of me. And I also find myself at the end of the month not having made any progress towards those goals for the month if I don't make a plan. But when I am intentional about planning my month and incorporating my goals for the year into the plan, I tend to have the best months ever. And so in this video, I'm going to break down how I do that plan. I'm actually going to walk you through planning January, the very first month of the year. I'm going to walk you through me turning my goals for 2025 into my plan for January. We're going to get all of my business. I'm going to share my templates with you. I'm going to share all the stuff on my screen with you as well. The first thing that I want to call out is the tools that I use to do planning. I only really use two tools. Technically, I use three. We're going to go over two. The two tools that I use are Notion, which is the repository where all my goals are and where I am tracking things. And it's kind of my project planning tool. And I also use a tool called Morgan, and that is my calendar tool. So I use those two tools together. Underneath all that are my Google calendars as well. So that's the third tool that I use. That is kind of, I don't need to talk you through Google Calendar because it actually feeds into Morgan. So you'll see all of the things that I have on my calendars and they are in Morgan. But those are the tools that I mainly use, Notion and Morgan. So let's talk a little bit about timing really quickly. So I try to do my monthly plan before the month starts. So typically, if we are around the 30th or the 31st of a month, I have probably already done my monthly plan. I usually try to do it the last Saturday of a month going into the next month. So that's typically my timing. It doesn't always work out that way. I'm gonna be honest with you. Sometimes we're 2 days into the month and I'm planning. It's fine. Whatever works for you, but it is on my calendar to do it before the month ends. Speaking of timing, I usually also block off about 2 hours to do this. It doesn't always take 2 hours, but I typically do a monthly review and monthly planning session at the same time. So before planning my month, I actually review the previous month first, so I am informed going into each month. But January is a fresh start, so I don't need to do a review of December. I already did a review of my year and December was included in that. So in this case, we're starting fresh. Okay, enough talking. You guys want to see some action. I know you want to see some action. So let's get into it. This is Notion. If you don't know what Notion is, it is one of everybody's favorite project planning tools, just kind of all-encompassing tools. It's very customizable. If you want to learn how to use Notion, it's completely free. I will put a link to sign up for Notion in the description box. I will also put a link up here as well, but there's a whole lot of videos on YouTube about how to use Notion. And before you ask me if I have a template, I don't yet. Stay tuned, subscribe to my channel. As soon as I finish building out my own template, I will be creating one to share with you all as well. So stay tuned for that. All right, so this is my control panel. I have basically, dolled it up and made it all special and customized for me. What you'll see here is just, I have a gem. So my word for the year is refine. My word for 2025 is refine. And I like the definition of it as well: to remove impurities or unwanted elements, to improve by making small changes, or to make an idea, theory, or method more accurate. And that is really my focus next year, is to refine myself, refine the things that I'm focused on, refine my priorities, refine my knowledge about a certain things. So that's my word for the year. Anyway, so I go to my monthly planner page that I have set up. And so you'll see all of the months of the year here. I'm going to open January. I'm going to open it in full so we can see what's in here. And what I want to start out with, or what I start out with, is capturing some data elements that I want to track throughout the year. Now, I track these in other places in other ways, but I thought it was a cool idea to actually track it here as well. I can see my weight trends in my app. I can also see my savings and debt balance elsewhere as well. But I want this to be top of mind when I am planning my month. And so I'm putting that information here. I'm gonna put some fake data in here for right now because I ain't gonna have y'all all in my business. Come on now. But all right, so I'm gonna put in my beginning weight. The data that I've chosen to put in here is my weight at the beginning of the month, my savings balance at the beginning of the month. I'm putting in fake numbers. These are not my real numbers. And debt beginning balance, let's call it 15,000. All right, so I put that at the beginning of the month, and then when I do my review, I'm gonna put it at the end of the month so I can see what the change was over the month. So that's what I'm gonna do there. So I'm gonna then go down to my steps for the month, starting with planning. So I have the review down here as well, but we're just focused on planning right now. So I'm going to click on complete journal prompts. I love starting with a journal, and I do this for monthly planning as well as weekly planning. I also do this for reviews. I start everything with journaling. My journal here is, if I had to set a theme or a mantra for the month, it would be, I think my theme for the month would be balance. December, I definitely overworked a lot. I worked a ridiculous amount in December. I wore myself out in December, to be perfectly honest with you. And so in January, I would like to see more balance. This month, my main focus or priority will be establishing healthy health routines that are portable. So I will be traveling again starting in January. December, I've been stationary for 1 month. I've traveled every month of the year in 2024, and I might be doing that again in 2025. I am going to Vietnam in January. I have a trip to Fort Lauderdale, a trip to Atlanta, and a trip to Vietnam in January. So I have 3 trips in January, and I really do not want to fall off of the health routines that I have been able to establish this month. So that is going to be my main focus and priority. Did you enter your beginning stats? That's just a reminder in case I skipped this. So I put that as a reminder. So I'm going to say, yes, I completed that. The next thing that I'm going to do after I've kind of thought about what my mantra and theme is and what my main focus are is start looking at important dates. Now, I do want to say some of you can do more journal prompts if you want to. There's plenty more journal prompts that you can do to move into the month. I already have journal prompts for a review. And like I said before, I am doing a review before I do the plan. And I also do weekly reviews as well. So I don't want to over journal prompt myself. So I'm only doing 2 journal prompts for the planning, but you can do whatever you want. All right, so looking at important dates. So one of the things that I like to try to do is think about what important dates do I have coming this month so that I can plan for them. Some of them are likely already in your calendar, but some of them may not be. And so one of the things that I want to do is make sure I'm thinking about, well, what big things are coming up? So in January, I know that my younger brother's birthday, I don't have to type out January, do I? I could actually just type his name, Steven's birthday, January 9th. What else do I have coming up? I have a photo shoot, January 17th, no, 15th. My sister is traveling January 17th, and that's important because I want to remember to schedule time to hang out with her before she leaves. Cyan starts school classes. Cyan starts classes on the 6th. Ooh, is that it? I have a photo shoot on the 15th. Oh, I have a flight. Fort Lauderdale, 1/7. That's a lot of L's. Fort Lauderdale, January 7th, ATL, January 13th, and Hanoi. No, I'm going to Ho Chi Minh first. I'm going to Ho Chi Minh. I speak in airline codes, so like I memorize airline codes for some reason. I'm going to, and the airline code for Ho Chi Minh is SGN for Saigon. I'm going to Saigon on January 20th. Okay. Oh, layover in Korea. I need to remember to reach out to Courtney. I have a friend who lives in South Korea, and we have a 24-hour layover, 12-hour layover in South Korea. So I want to go hang out with one of my friends that's there. So I want to remember that. And so I have this here where I'm supposed to check the box when I update these dates in my calendar. I'm not going to do that right now because I want us to stay in Notion. But once I show you my calendar, once we move over to the calendar, I will do that and add these dates to the calendar. Some of these things are already on the calendar, like my flights should already be on the calendar because they go on there automatically when I get emails about my flights. But I don't want to break away from Notion just yet. So we'll come back to this. But the whole point is once I'm thinking about the dates and brainstorming about the dates, I want to make sure that I do put those on the calendar as well. I actually might move this down to like the last thing. We'll see. And then the other thing I want to do is take a moment to review my goals for the year because I want to keep them in mind as I am building out my plan for the month. Remember what I said earlier, sometimes we make these goals for the year and they're just these things that are floating about and we never make the connection into what we are actually doing and the actions we're taking for the month. And so I've put this here so that it can remain top of mind for me. So these are my goals for 2025, and they are broken out by the 6 categories that I plan in. And again, I plan for the year, the month, and even the week in 6 categories. Those categories are finance, health, career/business, development, lifestyle, and relationships. And so I have goals in each of these categories. As you can see, most of my goals for the year are in finance. Finance is my primary focus for 2025. And so these are some of the goals I have: update estate documents, buy rental property, pay off debt, contribute max to IRA, get my taxes up to date. And so things like this are things I need to look at to say, do I need to add some goals to my month that feed into these things? So especially when I'm looking at the ones that are coming up. So for instance, I see 2 health goals that are, the deadline is January. I want to hit these goals in January. Find a therapist and finalize a discussion with my doctor around HRT. So these are January goals. And so I need to put that as January goals as well. Some of these are recurring, so I want to make sure I'm planning for these things as well. I actually really like this setup. I wasn't doing this before. I really like the idea of like looking at this so it's really top of mind. I had it somewhere else, so I would have to kind of go back and forth, but I like that it's right in the page. I don't have to go anywhere to see it. Look at me looking out for me. Okay, so I'm looking at these goals. Read a book every month, so I need to pick a book to read. Visit a family member every quarter. I will be visiting a family member. I'm going to go hang out with my sister. I just said I would. Spend face-to-face time with 2 friends per month. I'm about to spend face-to-face time with a bunch of friends because January is about to be a lot. All right, so looking at this, I'm going to go ahead and set my goals for the month. So that's what I'm going to do in this section. Looking at my finance goals, I'm supposed to update my estate documents by the end of March. I think January is going to be a little bit tough. Actually, I don't think I'm going to start on that in January. I think what I'll start on in January is paying off debt. One of the things I said I want to do this year is stop using my credit cards. So I am planning to remove all of my credit cards from Apple Wallet and Google Pay and all that kind of stuff and these websites that have them saved because I've gotten out of control with the credit cards. And so I'm going to use them to pay my bills and then pay that and then put bill money towards my credit cards. But the only thing that I want to do is pay my credit cards down. And so I think one of the things that I want to do this month is to develop a debt payoff plan. Can I spell though? All right, another goal that I'm going to have for the month, and I try not to do more than 2 main goals for the month. No more than 2 main goals for the month. Now, some of these will come as I will still have some tasks that I need to do for the month, but I'm really only shooting for 2 main goals for the month. Health, I need to, if I scroll up here, exercise for 30 minutes for 15 days. And also need to finalize this discussion. So all right, so I'm gonna just sit here and figure out the rest of my goals. Okay, so I have now set my goals for the month. If you'll notice, there are 3 goals in career and business, and I try to only keep about 1 to 2 goals for the month. And these are main goals. Of course, I'll have other things to do throughout the month, but these are just the main goals I'm tracking towards. I try not to do more than 2, but I do run 3 businesses, so I have a goal per business. Next thing we're gonna do is add tasks, because goals are cool, but like, what actions are we taking? So this here, I have my tasks and my projects as well. And so some of these things I'm going to turn into actual tasks. It may seem redundant to some people, but this is just how I do it. Some of these things I will have to actually create projects for. Like I may create a project for updating my estate plan. So I may take my estate plan, because that's multiple steps that I have to take. I may update that and turn that into an actual project that has tasks in it. Something like launch a digital planning product that will have a project. It will live in the Notion for my business. It won't live here, but these are things that I would turn into actual projects. So that said, I'm looking at the tasks that I already have on the list, but I want to add these tasks as well. So develop my debt payoff plan. I'm just going to copy that. Put that as a plan, develop my debt payoff plan. I'm gonna make that due at the end of the month. Status is not started. Category is finance. And for every single one of these, some of them will turn into tasks, some will turn into projects, and some will just turn into calendar meetings. Some of these just need to be calendar reminders as well. I'm also going to be thinking through what are other things that I just need to get done this month and putting them on my task list. Okay, so I added my tasks already. I'm gonna add one project for estate planning. Complete. And this is a goal that I'll be working on all of the first quarter. So I'm gonna make this January through March. And I'm gonna add a few tasks to it, one of which I already made, so I can actually just link it here. What was the task? Right? I think it was right affidavit. So I'm just gonna add this task here. That's a task I already created. I'm gonna add that task. And then I also need to update my will, update my Notion estate plan template. I actually have an estate plan template that I cannot wait to share with folks. Update Notion estate plan template, update trust documents. All right, so these are things that I will have to schedule out as well. I'm not gonna give timeframes to this right now. It's probably gonna be February activities, but right now I know that I'm gonna do this one task in January. Okay, so I am done creating my tasks and my projects and my goals for the month. So the next thing I'm gonna do is go over to my calendar and figure out how I'm going to calendarize the month as well. And to do that, I'm gonna go to Morgan. I absolutely love the Morgan calendar. So let's look into it. All right, so we're here in Morgan. And a few things to note before we deep dive into this calendar. I have two sort of ideal calendars built out. One is a personal ideal calendar, and another is an editorial calendar for YouTube. And the cool thing about Morgan is I have all of my calendars connected. I have multiple calendars. So I have my personal calendar, I have my quick commuting calendar, I have my personal brand calendar, and then my main consulting client runs her business from Outlook. And so I have meetings with her and meetings with other people for her business. And so it's connected to my Outlook calendar as well. So I can see all of my calendars in one place, but more importantly, I can see all my tasks in one place, which I absolutely love. And I am a huge fan of calendarizing tasks because we got to know when can we actually get things done. All right, so join me over here in Morgan. So this is the first week of the month. Just, ignore that for just a second. So this is what the month looks like in Morgan. I hate looking at a month calendar because it's too jumbled for me, but I just put it to a month so that I can do a couple of quick things. One is making sure that some of my big dates are on here. You remember I was supposed to put the dates on the calendar? I'm gonna do that right now. So I see that I'm gonna head over to January. I wasn't even in January. All right, so I do not see my brother's birthday on January. So I'm gonna go ahead and, add my brother's birthday. And I have multiple calendars on here. So I've got my business calendar, my personal calendar, and I've got my ideal calendars also. So I'm gonna just drop my brother's birthday on here. Steven's birthday. It should be on here, but for some reason my Google birthdays has just not been showing up, weirdly enough. Let me make sure this doesn't show me as busy. Okay, it doesn't show me as busy. All right, so my brother's birthday, my sister is leaving town on this day. So I wanted to make note of that. I said that I'm traveling on the 7th. I think that's on here already. Flight to Atlanta, yep, that's on here. I'm traveling on the 13th. That should be on here as well. Yep, flight to Atlanta. So I do want to put my photo shoot here as well. Typically I would get a meeting invite from my photographer, but she hasn't sent it just yet. We just planned this today. So I'm just gonna go ahead and block it off so nobody can book anything with me. And the shoot it's not all day. It's not all day. It's from 10 a.m. and we usually shoot for about 2 hours. So I'm gonna change that duration to 2 hours. Okay, so that's on there. What else did I call out in that Notion template? What other important dates? Photo shoot, my sister's traveling. Oh, Zion starts classes on the 6th. And I'm just putting that on the calendar so that it's, top of mind. I can send her a little text message and say, hey, baby girl, I hope you have a great day at classes today. All right, so I think I hit all of those dates and all my flights are already in there. Excellent. All right, so that's there. I've gone ahead and updated those dates. The next thing that I want to show you guys in this calendar really quickly is how I have some of my standard systems built into the calendar. For instance, I'm going to go to a clean week that I haven't planned already. So there's some recurring things that are already on my calendar. In my Quick Commuting Academy, in my remote work community, I do a Motivation Monday every Monday at 9 o'clock. So that's in here. I have a bi-weekly meeting with my client. That's in here. And then I also have, you can see these purple blocks like this, and this. These are my editorial calendars. So this is my ideal dates for some of the activities that I want to do for my YouTube. And my content creation. So Mondays at 10 to 12, I'd like to use that time to research, script, and plan videos. And then Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, I want to use that time to record videos. I have this here so that if things work out the way I'd like for them to, this is when I'm doing this. But it's also shown as free because I want to be able to adjust in case things come up, because the afternoon is typically when I like to have meetings. And so I want to be able to adjust this as needed. And I think that's key, being able to be adaptable and flexible, but starting with a template and a plan. And so the other things that I have on here as well are my morning routine, 6 to 6:45. I also have my gym time on here, and we can see that that actually does not coincide with my editorial calendar on Mondays. I actually don't work out on Mondays, so I can actually delete that on Monday. I don't go to the gym on Mondays. And then on Wednesdays, I have a meeting that does not coincide with the time that I'm going to want to go to the gym. So I can change this around and say I'm going to go to the gym earlier on Wednesdays as well. Or I could in the future ask if we can change these meetings. In fact, I can see that on this calendar, next Wednesday, I have a call. I actually don't need to be on that call, so this meeting can stay. But I can see that someone scheduled a meeting with me for 10 o'clock on Wednesday, January 8th, and I might need to either ask that person to change the meeting or ask the other meeting that I have to get changed as well. So I'm just going to decline this meeting. Or accept tentatively. How about that? All right. So I like being able to just kind of look through my calendar and see what's coming, what's coming up ahead. And I like having these set things in my calendar. The reason I like looking at them is because I can say, well, I know on these days I'm going to have to make some adjustments. For instance, I eat lunch and I say I'm going to get dressed in the middle of the day, but on this day I also have Spanish class. So I'm probably gonna have to get dressed after that and eat lunch before that, right? So I can go ahead and make these adjustments. And then I also have my weekly reviews already on the calendar. So that's 3 hours. I'm not reviewing nothing for that long, but I do, I do a weekly review, but I also do facials every week as well. So I do a facial while I'm doing my weekly review and weekly plan. And so I'm just kind of going through the calendar to see if there's anything of note. For instance, Thursday, I have a photo shoot. Thursday, the 16th, I have a photo shoot. I'm not going to the gym at that time. And so I might have to go to the gym early morning that day. Actually, I'm not even gonna be able to go to the gym because I'm gonna have to get my makeup done. I'm gonna have to schedule makeup before that. So if I go to the gym, I have to be early. Like I would have to get up at like 5. I think I'll have to get up at 5 and then go to the gym. Yeah. So this is the type of activity that I like to do so that I can be forward thinking about what's coming in my life. Now, this would come up in a weekly planning session, but it doesn't hurt for me to be thinking about it while I'm in my monthly planning session as well, because the information is there and readily available. I can go ahead and knock that out. So just looking through the week, like for instance, I agreed to do a live session on someone's YouTube channel on Tuesday, the 14th. Well, that means I'm not going to be able to do my afternoon activity at that time. So let me move that up and say I'm going to do my activity earlier, and I'll probably have to have dinner after that. So I'm going to be winding down pretty late, or maybe I have dinner before that. And then I'll wind down pretty late. So I really like doing stuff like this. Oh, I have dinner with friends on Friday night. So I'm gonna have to change this stuff around. Anyway, I really like doing this because I get the opportunity to be thoughtful about how I am going into the week and managing my schedule. And then you'll also see on my schedule, you see the weekly facials and planning. You can see that my monthly review and planning session is scheduled for February 1st. So it's after the month has already started, but it's a Saturday, and I try to do it on Saturdays because I have more time and brain space to do things on Saturday mornings. So that's why it's after the month has already started, but it's like right there on the cusp. But as I go through these and I go through my weekly planning, I can adjust these as necessary. And so that's something I love to do. One of the things that I want to kind of double tap into and call our attention to is that you see me scheduling out and being intentional about the habits and routines that are going to help me reach my goals. Additionally, we are taking those goals and building out actions and tasks. If you remember the inverted triangle that I talked about in my video about setting systems, it's being intentional about the routines and habits that lead us to the actions that help us meet the goals that get us to the desired outcomes that we want. This is a really granular level, but it's that granular level that gets you to that higher level goal and desired outcome that you want to achieve, that gets you to whole life fulfillment. So all of that to say, I hope this was helpful. I really love breaking down my vision into actionable steps. If it was helpful, do me a favor, go ahead and hit the like button, and don't forget to subscribe and turn on alerts. I think you should also check out the next video, which gives you a tour of my favorite calendar app that I showed you here, which is Morgan. So check that video out, and thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.